Hello, Internet, and welcome to Irregulars. Today, I have a very special episode for you. So, about abortion. Easily one of the most triggering topics that can be brought up. Also, one of the most political. And because politics has become ever more tribalistic, the opposing views have become so dissonant that it's to the point that no one is willing to even have a conversation about it. Either you're a baby killer or a woman hater. It's probably a worse topic to get involved in than global warming. Both sides are just so arrogant in assuming that they are right, that they view the other side as morally unjust, and therefore shouldn't even be listened to because it could corrupt them. Today, my objective will be to convince as many people as I can, from either side of the aisle, that it should be removed from politics, that we should take it out of the realm of legislation as much as we can. To do this, I will bring up as many uncomfortable arguments and ideas as I can. So hold on to your butts and get ready to cringe. Representing the hardcore everything is my reproductive right feminazi, it's Big Red! And representing the Christian conservative that wants everything he doesn't like made illegal, it's Middle-Aged Dad. All right, now let's get down to business. First up, we'll take an argument from pro-life. I would just like to say that abortion is murder. Well, coming on really strong right out of the gate. Now, Arthur, do you mind if I call you Arthur? Well, it's not really mine. So, Arthur, if abortion is murder, is miscarriage manslaughter? What? Well, if intended abortion is murder, then unintended miscarriage would be manslaughter. Well, I don't know if that's quite fair. You're right. Miscarriages sometimes just happen. But what if it's brought on by strenuous physical activity? What if it's an accident? It's still loss of life due to someone else's action, isn't it? Or what about fetal alcohol syndrome? Is that abuse or criminal negligence? I'll leave this button with you. Hey, I see you snickering over there. Let's wipe that smug fucking face off your face. Abortion is a right argument, and go. Well, abortion should have no debate about it because it's just a bundle of cells. Ah, yes, the bundle of cells argument. This may surprise you, but you're a bundle of cells. A cow is a bundle of cells. A jellyfish is really just a bundle of cells. All life is just a bundle of cells. So you may want to change that definition. Well, it's not a human. Okay, what part isn't a human? The DNA is 100% present, as it would be in a human. Hey, that's right. It's wrong because you're killing something that is human. Nobody asked you! But since you decided to bring that up, science is now cloning human tissues to replace hearts and muscles and skin and all kinds of stuff. It's really incredible stuff. And it all has about 100% human DNA. Exactly 100% human DNA. So is that also wrong? That's right. Take another button. So, Red, do you have an answer? Well, you just gave a great one. Yes, but I could also say that it is wrong because you are stopping a human from achieving potential by ending its existence, because that cluster of cells has the potential to be a human, whereas a cloned limb doesn't. Also, as a side note, if you are a moral vegetarian, that is, only a vegetarian because killing animals is wrong, then you must also be pro-life to stay principled. I know all the arguments. Now, another way to define a human, and go. Well, empathy is a pretty human trait. Okay, so kids only develop that at about 5 years old. So before that, euthanizing them is all good, right? I mean, without empathy, they're just a bundle of cells. Well, that's just ridiculous. Yes, it is. But it's your line of reasoning that we are following. Also, some dogs may show empathy. Dolphins show empathy. Are they more valuable than a toddler? Well, what about self-awareness? Kids only show signs of self-awareness around 18 months. Primates in the animal kingdom are self-aware, sometimes. Again, dolphins, and surprising European magpies. So, refer to the last point. Okay, fine. Well, by law, it's only a person after it's been born. Sure, by law. And we sort of brushed on why the law has to be the way it is, because it's just such a complicated ethics issue that legislation is unable to get more specific. As we are finding out, you are suggesting that the christening event of exiting through the vagina gives something value. Therefore, there was no value before. Well, how about its first breath? Okay, so you have a baby that isn't breathing when it's born. Oh well, in the dumpster with the rest. Well, what about when it's viable? Depends on how you want to define it. Technically, no babies are viable without someone to take care of them, and if they don't get human contact, they will die 100% of the time. Just a spooky morbid fact for you, but I assume you mean that they can be kept alive in general. So that's possible at about 23 weeks. Not likely, but possible. And they're about the size of a mango at that point. And technology is increasingly pushing back the time that it takes for a baby to be viable. But my reproductive rights! Ah, yes, good. This is the real meat of the conversation, because this is the point I want to tackle. Because morality is boring and personal and irrelevant, but public policy does matter. So reproduction is your right. Duh. Okay, so who is responsible for your reproduction? I am? No, that would be your reproductive freedom, in which case you would have to deal with any consequences that arise from your action. That's sexist! Okay, so you want birth control and abortion to be publicly funded because that's what a right generally translates to. It usually means that it falls on the state to provide the means or to protect your rights. If it's a right, it's also somebody else's responsibility. Well, of course those things should be free. Okay, so then you are perfectly fine with Congress or politicians deciding on how the policy is implemented. You are perfectly fine with conservative dad being able to voice his opinion on every matter and possibly getting enough constituents to agree with him. Of course not. They have no business in a woman's personal choice. But you're making it their business. You are asking for tax dollars for what you see as right. Hey, yeah, it makes me feel sick to think that my tax dollars are going to killing babies. And because he's a taxpayer and a voter, he has an absolute right to protest your position and possibly win making abortion illegal. Well, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. But be careful, because her side may win, and you would have to pay for something that you see as immoral, and there would be a non-stop power struggle, all based around personal morality decisions. And again, we know that making it illegal leads to more suicides among women, so you would have to eat that, too. But he obviously just hates women. Well, I find that unlikely. And the majority of women in America are pro-life, so they hate women, too. And you wanting it to be your right, you are inviting him to the discussion. You are inviting everyone that pays taxes to weigh in on your choice. You can't have your cake and eat it too. And if reproduction is your right, both for choosing to reproduce or not, would women not be stepping on someone else's toes for not having babies to give up for adoption to parents that are having conception issues? I know that's a little far to reach, but hey, it's not like crazier things haven't been advocated. Well, then what should we do? I say you take it the fuck out of politics. It will be legal, because to make it illegal would be irresponsible on the government's part. The harsh breakdown is that the government is responsible to its constituents. The unborn aren't voters, but women that could commit suicide are. So, keep it to the private sector. Then it's nobody's business but yours. It's the only way the government can back you up without snubbing others. People may still cry about it happening, but the government can openly say that making it illegal is a bad idea, and they have no business in other people's morality. Is that fair enough position for both of you? I know you both have to eat a little bit of shit, but that's life. When you have all the different kinds of people sometimes, when you have all different kinds of people, sometimes just making what they do none of your business is the best solution. Well, what if she can't afford it? Then don't have sex. What if it's rape or incest? Well, then it'll go to court and be handled as well as it can be. That's why there are courts, because exceptional circumstances require exceptional rulings. You can't just expect people to not have sex. No, I expect people to be mature enough to understand that there are consequences for their actions. Let me tell you what my dad told me when I was thinking I may be old enough to engage in intercourse. He said, well, if you think you're adult enough to do that, then you must also be adult enough to handle any consequences that could happen. And let me tell you, folks, that kept me abstinent for another year. So you can fight about this issue forever, and no one will be absolutely right. And asking the government to pick one side or the other is so childlike. You're both acting like insolent children, asking the teacher to side with you for your own reasons. It's pathetic. Accept that other people don't think like you. Stop trying to push your issues on others. Stop trying to push your own morality on others. The system isn't perfect, and building a utopia ends up killing millions of people. You both think you're the embodiment of virtue. You both just want people to think like you. Why can't people just see the world the way that you see it? If only you could just have everyone agree. But this is why communism always ends up killing millions, because people aren't the same. People literally do not perceive the world the same way. So in your attempt to create your utopia, you would always be just one more murder away from getting everyone to conform. So being free to choose your morality and the consequences that they bring is as good as you can get.